It's called the bionic among the path of road attack. The sexy iconic swinger again, young Leslie, 25 band, with a home run. The old now with an effort pop, equal turbo high, shake, sound, twist, wacky, weed, blaze, the boot, down like Scooby-Doo, Bob, Bogey, backyard boogie. What is the other sound? Let's say that.
It's another week show. That's yes.
And that's Sasha.
And we are live on idobi Radio. We are live on President's Day 2025. That's what day it is today. Oh, wait, I gotta put my light on. We're live on idobi Radio. We are remote today. Yeah, we're just remote today. We're very close to each other in proximity, but I was feeling a little yucky, so the technology is on our side, and we are live on this President's Day. Last year on President's Day, we did a whole show on all the presidents that smoked weed and grew weed, and there was a lot of them that did that. So you should go find that show somewhere.
Yeah, it's on our YouTube, and there's some clips too. Should repost those clips.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in this year 2025. So it's hard to kind of sit and celebrate President's Day or talk about it for too long because it gets a little, depressing. So go listen to that show. But that's what day it is today. So it is a bank holiday and all that. And we're not going to be talking about any presidents. No, we're not going to be talking about any presidents today. So that's good news. We'll be talking about things that relate to the president. But again, we're always this year going to try to end on a good note. So that's where we're going to be. Before we get there, we might have some. Well, no, we're going to get all our willies out right away. In the very, very beginning. I'm going to smoke a joint because I can't usually do that during our show, but you're not smoking weed, are you?
I've had a little throat and nasal thing going on since the fires, actually. It's been kind of messing with me, but I did pick up one of these. It's the St. Ides. It's the St. Ides Energy Blast.
Energy Blast?
Yeah, it's got a little caffeine in it.
Oh, do you like it?
Honestly, I love the effect and how fast it hits, but the flavor is medicinal. Very medicinal flavor. But you can mix it with a little sparkling water, and then you're good to go.
That's true.
But it hits you like that, really fast.
I love liquid edibles. I do. Drinkable edibles are really my jam. Well, good. I also took 40 milligrams of those little mints. Those are good. They're good to just pop in.
Those are nice.
Yeah, 20 milligrams a pop. Yeah, that's what I've been kind of doing. I was kind of on like a little bit of an edible break last week. I think it was last week because I was on a cleanse. And then we went to see a movie, which we just to check in on our mental health, which we've been doing every single week. We've been talking about things that have been bringing us joy and what you can do when you're not fighting justice or fighting for justice and things to be better. And we went and we saw just one of them days on. Did we take mushrooms? No.
No,
we didn't.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't.
I rolled a fatty.
Yes, you did. It was beautiful.
For the ride.
I was still thinking about it. It was like a week ago, and I'm like, that joint was really nice.
That was Big Pharma OG too.
Oh, shout out Big Pharma. How do you spell Big Pharma? BIGPHAR. So the normal way.
Yeah.
Not like pharma with an F.
No. That'd
be funny though.
It would be.
You should do that.
Wait. Did I just spell it wrong?
No, I don't know. No, I think you're right. I just wanted to double check. Trust me, in a conversation between me and someone else, the other person's usually accurate.
It's actually BIGFARM.
I was right? No way, Jose. Wow, this really is a President's Day. This is the best President's Day ever. Well, cool. Now that we have that all settled, we're going to talk about RFK Jr. Oh my God, go watch our promo.
Okay.
Our brilliant fucking social media homie, Tate. He's completely brilliant, and he edited our promo for us. And when we say RFK Jr., the sound effect is like wah 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 wah, like it's a sad trombone. That really tickled me because
Yeah, that was
he's
hilarious. Thanks, Tate.
yeah. Thank you, Tate. We fucking love you. Go follow idobi Radio on the socials because we're fucking fire right now, and it's a wild place to be, but like in this time where RFK is just like a household name, like RFK Jr. We're talking about him a lot, and I don't like that. I don't love that, but it is
I
worth
was,
talking about. I think we should talk
yeah, I
about
thought
it
RFK Jr. was going to go away, but he's not.
because the more ridiculous things he said, you're like, there's just no way. There's no way this
There's
could.
just no way. But here
But
we are.
yeah, yet again.
The newly sworn in Health and Human Services Secretary,
Thank you, because there's
RFK.
no way I could remember those letters ever. I just know it has something. I know he's doing something that has to do with health. And
Yeah, he's in
for
charge of the
sure.
whole system.
Yeah, that's rough. That's a rough pill to swallow, literally. So like he has said a bunch of stuff this week so far that has been troubling, including that you should put people who have mental illnesses on a farm or a camp, I think he said. Like send
Yeah,
them
it's
to
going
a
to
camp.
be, like a rehab camp where you can.
Like an SSRI rehab camp. Cool. He's very famously anti-vax. We'll get into that a little bit too, because now he's like, okay, all right.
Yeah,
So he's clown shoes, basically, is what we're saying. It's, and don't worry, we're not going to do any impressions. Nope, don't you do it. Don't you do it. That's not what we're gonna usually. And I like to do my voices, but we're not gonna touch it. But I will say, if you just looked at the guy, he has gone through health troubles himself. And this is why it makes me sad that somebody who is in recovery and who has gone through who has overcome very serious health scares, not to even fucking mention he's got the last name Kenny, like there's a curse on that name. And he's still kicking. He could do so much good with his voice, with his words. Don't make that face. Don't do it. Stop. That's not right. I'm not even in the same room and I can see your face. He could do so much good with his voice, and his words, but he's not doing anything good. He's spreading misinformation and in a scary way because now he's in charge. That said, the topic of weed has been brought to his attention multiple times because before Biden, was like, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you, and headed out the door, he was like, oh yeah, weed, we're going to reschedule it. So that's a thing that exists that the government that's in power now needs to address. So when asked about weed, historically, he has been pretty pro, right? Guess.
Yeah, so sort of. Definitely doesn't believe that cannabis should be criminalized anymore.
Definitely doesn't believe that.
Like, I think that's one of the points that he's stuck to.
Yeah, so he's kind of flip-flopping all over the place with the latest things that he said. So this week, okay, we'll play. I don't want to. I almost forgot about it. We'll play the segment on Fox News who TS now has an open account with. Congratulations on being.
There was no other way for me to rip this audio without signing up for the account. So now I'm on record with a Fox News account. It is strictly for research purposes only.
When Huffington Post does the deep dive on you, they'll be like, and he was always a member of Fox News. We'll play the start. Yeah, so he was on what, Laura Ingraham?
Laura Ingraham, yeah.
Today, Senator Pete Ricketts said that you'd follow the science on marijuana's harms, which are increasingly documented. There have been 2 recent studies saying that pot causes psychosis, one from Canada, one even covered by the New York Times, multiple pieces actually in the Times. It increases the chances of death. Are you concerned about the normalization of high THC marijuana, especially among our young people, and what might you do about it?
Yeah. Okay, all right. So just to break in here a little bit. It's a very loaded question. Now, not to defend RFK Jr. ever in life, but the way Republican or the way right-wing media, I should say, broaches the subject of weed is always, well, weed is going to kill us all. So what is your stance on it? And we've addressed those studies that she's talking about, and so has the cannabis community as a whole. I think seriously address them for as much study as we can do, because it's not legal to have, so we can't study it. But we know that high THC cannabis has been something that I think has been more prevalent. So we haven't. I think there's like a little bit of a like push here with the high THC and the psychosis, CHS, stuff like that. Those are all very real.
Yeah, high THC has always been a contested point with the conservative groups. They don't understand THC, first of all, or cannabis. Right. And then they just want to, they see like these numbers on these vapes and it's like 90% THC.
And I do think that needs to be looked at. I don't think we should be dabbing every single fucking day and taking 1,000 milligrams a day. I don't think that. I don't. So yeah, but please don't tell people that it is. What'd she say? It's a higher risk of death. I will not play it again.
Death. It's dangerous.
We're literally 40 seconds into the clip and he hasn't even answered yet because she's like, weed bad, weed bad, weed bad. So she says reefer madness for 40 seconds and says, what do you think about it? So here's his answer, the beginning of it, before I can't help myself but to jump in.
I am worried about it. And, I've been in recovery for 42 years. I go to 12-step meetings every day. And so I hear stories all the time of people, of the impacts of marijuana on people and really catastrophic impacts on them. That worry also has to be balanced.
Okay, so I want to just touch on the word catastrophic. Weed has catastrophic impacts on them. He implicated that is from the use of weed because he used his recovery as some sort of I know drugs, guys, and weed is bad. And it's been catastrophic for people who are wrongfully convicted of weed conviction, people who are wrongfully in jail for weed convictions.
That's the most
catastrophic.
Yeah, that's the most dangerous side effect, is getting caught with cannabis in most states. How many people in rehab do you think RFK Jr., how many people that were in rehab with him were there because of cannabis use?
You ever sucked dick for weed? All right, Pete.
No.
Bob Saget. It's from Half Baked.
I know.
Oh, I wasn't asking you.
No, doesn't Dave Chappelle?
Yeah, it's Half Baked. He's like,
yeah.
I don't know. He says something about cocaine. He's like, I used to suck dick for coke, I think. He's like, you ever suck dick for weed? Yeah, and I think Dave Chappelle's like, yeah, he is. He's like, no.
Hi, everyone. My name is Thurgood. Hi. I'm here today because I'm addicted to marijuana.
You in here for some marijuana? Marijuana? Man, this is some bullshit.
Marijuana is not a drug. I used to suck dick for coke.
I seen them.
And that's an addiction, man. You ever suck some dick for marijuana?
Huh?
No, I can't say I have.
I didn't think so.
Boo this man!
But I hope you know I wasn't asking you. You couldn't read my body language. We're not together.
I know Half Baked.
You're just a really good actor. I know. Well, it's the pinnacle weed movie, Half Baked. I mean, it's like, for me, it's number one.
But
I don't
really?
think a lot. I don't think a lot of people. And yet, when you search for stuff about weed, what comes up? Like the addiction.
Fucking rehabs come
Yeah.
up first, or like the first thing that comes up.
It's
every
crazy.
time.
The propaganda is everywhere. Even in a weed-friendly world, Google still gives you fucking rehab numbers when you look up certain weed things. I don't know what. Like, I don't know. I forgot what I just looked up. It was like cannabis. I don't remember. Probably. I don't remember what it was. Maybe it was related to the show. And the first thing that came up was, do you need a rehab? And it's like, I mean, and I don't want to take away from anybody who does feel addicted to weed and feels that they need to be in rehab for it. It's just something to note that weed is not inherently addictive. I don't think. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm not a fucking chemist scientist, but like that's in a way. I'm not. What is he in recovery for? Isn't it cocaine or? What's
Heroin.
Heroin. Okay, so heroin's pretty addictive, and
Yeah.
It's kind of the whole thing of the heroin stuff. So when weed is in the same category, it's just very easy to say that weed is catastrophic for consumers. I feel like I could, without taking away from people who really do feel like the reason I'm bringing this up is because I'm on the side of the internet, and I don't know if this is propaganda too. But a lot of my For You page for a long time was taking a tea break. Oh, my tea break is turning to forever. Oh, I can't believe I used to smoke weed every single day. Like please, like, go with God in your sober journey. I truly, madly, deeply do not judge you for anything. That's not my bag, baby. I want to smoke weed and I enjoy it, and it helps me greatly. And I think our whole state is a very good example of dealing with the green wave, high THC content, and it's not catastrophic. And the risk for death has not been higher. In fact, we've talked about how the risk of death and suicide and all these things have actually been lower in states who have regulated weed. So
all of the bad numbers and statistics go down because of cannabis legalization.
That's
all your driving stats, people underage drinking, everything's just going down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're making tax money.
Yeah. So then he kind of like turns this back though. Like, he's like, it's good. It's catastrophic. As somebody who fucking, sucked dick for coke, I know that allegedly, I know that drugs are bad.
But we had about a third of our prison population that was in jail because of marijuana offenses. That's something we don't want either. We have, because of the legalization of recreational marijuana in 25 states, we have now a capacity to really study it and to compare it to states.
Studies look bad.
Right, and we need to do studies. We need to figure out. And
that's when he's like, we need to, we have the capacity to do studies on it. And she's like, studies look bad. Like, fucking, she's such a clown shoes. But yeah, he does say that we can study it now, so we should. And I actually, if he didn't say the stupid catastrophic part to appease the fucking idiots, I'd actually agree with what he's saying.
We're all on board with studying cannabis. But you're leaving it to the states, which is great. We need that federal descheduling, so that we can actually do proper research.
Yeah,
there's research happening, but we need all of the best research comes from federal grants.
Well, yes, yeah. So for
It needs
something
to
to be
be
like
well
very
funded.
peer reviewed, you need a lot of money
Yeah.
and you need a lot of time. And you need a lot of time. That's the thing. We're wasting so much fucking time on not having the resources when we can literally know all of the good things and the bad things that weed does. I'm just gonna play the last couple seconds of this.
And then we need to implement policies to address.
She says the studies are bad. You know, they want to front load it with weed is going to ruin everything if it is more available. We know this to not be true, but there's a stigma, but he seems to be on the side of research. That's also what Joe Biden said too. Remember, he was like, we need the science, we need the science, we need to see the science. Like a lot.
Take it out of the DEA's hands so we can actually study this. Make the
Right.
moves.
I don't
Like,
think he
He
understands.
does not understand how this has been working. You know, it's already a states' rights issue, but
Right.
the states aren't putting money into funding studies.
Yeah, he's like, oh, we have the capacity to do the studies. And that's when Laura Ingram is like the studies are bad because there are studies out there that are bad. There are because they're ridiculous and flawed as hell. Like every so often, you know, the heart disease or the cardiovascular one hits and you know, everybody's hitting you up like, am I gonna have, you know, heart problems? Like there's always a little bit of a reefer madness every so often it creeps up, but we know what the facts are. The facts are what we've seen. The risk is not catastrophic to make weed legal, other than getting caught with it and going to jail and not being able to have citizen rights ever again. Those are the worst things that can happen to you if you are a person in which weed does not help or serve. It's like those commercials for fucking pharmaceuticals where they're like, do not take Wegovy if you're allergic to Wegovy. Like, no fucking shit. Like, what?
Do not eat shrimp if you are allergic to shrimp.
Yeah. Oh,
Side effects of eating shrimp might include severe esophagus closure.
Yeah. So I'm not going to eat it. Like, if weed is not and that's the thing about weed. Like, I feel like I've never done heroin, but other drugs that are addictive, you know, like they feel good. Like if people who don't like weed don't feel good on weed, on weed, they don't, another half-baked reference. They don't, when people don't want, that's why it's like the driving thing. It's like, ain't nobody driving when they're too high. They can't, you know?
Yeah, you don't want to. You're like,
you don't
so
want
chill.
to.
You're like, fuck it. I'm going to wait. I'm going to just kick it here.
It's true. And it's just such a misconception that I think is crazy that we still perpetuate.
You know, this Laura Ingram, let's talk about her for a second. Guiding this, leading this interview with negativity towards cannabis.
Yeah, right in the beginning. She was like, bad. Oh my God. Bad. Everybody's going to die.
And only interjected with, it's all bad.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's bad. It's real bad. Because he started to say kind of okay things about it. And then she was like, oh, so anti-abortion or something. I don't know. She started talking about abortion.
That whole interview is like a rapid fire with RFK.
Yeah, I mean.
And Laura Ingram.
But yeah, so that's that. The interview is actually on Marijuana Moment too, if you want to watch it just one time. So you don't have to subscribe. So I guess he's still figuring it out. We'll keep you updated on where it lands. I don't know, honestly, what to even expect. If worst case scenario is that it just stays the same as we've been saying, then I'm okay. I'd rather progression, but let's not go crazy here. Let's not reevaluate it. He didn't sound like that's where he was going, but you're right. It is in the DEA's hands. But did they touch on that?
Yeah.
I don't think we talked about that.
They didn't talk about that, but he did
Of just
say, yeah, Fox News did not cover this deep
Weird.
cannabis dive, but we did, and he said he was going to leave it. RFK is going to leave it up to the fucking DEA.
DA. RFK, DA.
What more do I have to say?
Yeah. Oh God, help us. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. It's a bunch of gibberish, is what it is. Silliness. But we're gonna take a break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about something lighter. Yeah, we'll talk about something later. We'll be right back.
It's the Cool Nerd Weed Show with TS and Sasha. Don't panic. It's organic.
And we're back.
We're back.
It's Cool Nerd Weed Show. That's TS.
And that's Sasha.
And we're live on idobi Radio. Find us everywhere. You can listen to idobi in a number of ways. One is the free idobi app. Another is talking to your Alexa. Just say, "Hey Alexa, play the future of alternative radio." We're trying to integrate more good stuff in our show. So sports. Oh, well, we're going to try to make this a thing. Right? You want to do this as a thing?
Yeah, I want to do like sports because there's a lot of good things happening in the world of sports regarding cannabis. So
yeah, so we will probably make this a segment
like
and do a funny little thing and have somebody say something funny
around. We'll time this around major sporting events. So what's going on right now is the Four Nations. It's sort of a better version of an all-star game taking place for NHL. Mid-season break. So the players probably that aren't playing in this tournament right now, even if they are turning to cannabis over alcohol, because these NHL players, they notoriously love to party and drink.
Yeah, they do.
The new generation that's coming up is they're turning to cannabis.
Particularly edibles.
Yeah. Edibles are, it's a good way to recover and kick back and avoid the alcohol, chill out in your room, play some video games. You're not going to go out drinking and tearing it up. And with, a majority of the teams, cannabis is illegal where they are. Like all the teams in Canada have access to cannabis. The West Coast, there's like all the states. There's many more teams' locations have access to cannabis than they don't. Plus, they're all traveling. So I don't know what you do or get up to on the road. You're probably in a state that has some legal. You have access on your journey. So these guys,
and there's something to be said about like not waking up, and you see it all the time with other sports teams when they're going. Forgot what we were watching. Oh, I think it was the World Series, and it was like the couple of games that the Dodgers lost. Like you were like, oh, they like went out, in fucking Manhattan, and
oh yeah,
got wasted,
totally.
And they're super slow, and they're hungover, and you can tell. Or when people come to California and, they just party all night at fucking wherever, Sunset, and they're getting all sorts of things. Drinks are flowing for free. And then the next day they're hungover as fuck. And you can tell when people are dragging. Now, that's not to say you don't wake up groggy when you take too many edibles. It's totally possible. But the recovery is way easier than getting a fucking vitamin B IV, whatever, before you have to play your game that involves a lot of energy. And, and the thing about any like hockey players is they're tough. They're tough guys. They're tough lads.
Yeah.
And it was part of the culture. Our age generation, hockey players and older, you had to do it. You had to like reek of alcohol the next day playing your game, and if you couldn't play that way, then
you're not a team
off the
player.
ice. Yeah, so
that's how
I like it's very particular, I think, to certain sports, and hockey is definitely one of them. So I'm glad they're coming around to taking a chill out Because boy, is it better to wreck your body when it's not completely dehydrated from poisoning it with alcohol the entire night. I don't know, CBD that helps rebuild your muscles, and the CTE effects of banging your head into another human being is probably well better spent with some THC and CBD combos. So they're taking those edibles, playing some video games. I think that's
Chilling
pretty
out,
fucking sick.
getting a
Good
good
for
night's rest.
them. I love
Yeah.
that.
And the NHL has sort of supported them. They've taken their progressive stance. They no longer
Wow.
classify cannabis as a banned substance. Players, they do 2 no-notice drug tests annually, which still includes THC testing. But
That's not the
if
best.
they say the levels are abnormally high, they just treat it as a health matter rather than a disciplinary issue. And
Okay.
there's no punishment for being tested for THC. So you could be
Okay.
like, just, they'll be like, just, get a good night's sleep. We can't do anything, but we're still testing you. Just, are you okay? Are you okay?
Yeah, drug intervention, which it's great. That's great because, it took a while for a lot of sports leagues to come around, but they're getting there slowly but surely. But oddly, it was the sports that were the most physically taxing that took the longest, which is
Yeah.
wild to me. But backward thinking, and it's okay. You only know what you know. I
Yeah,
love
this
hockey.
the
I like hockey better than football, way better than
this
football.
this
And I
tournament's been going on.
yeah, it's been very exciting.
It's been very exciting, and they're all holed up in Montreal.
It's so cold.
It's freezing. They have access to legal cannabis, and they only play like
shout
every
out
other day.
Canada. You've been on that for quite some time. Our Canadian friends should tell us. We should ask Patrick Walford. I literally talk to him every day, and I never ask him what weed is like. Shout out Patrick Walford. Listen to Idobi Howell, and listen to Patrick Walford every day because he's awesome. And he always, whenever he's in LA, we're never together. I'm always like somewhere else, or you're not there, and we always want to smoke together. So I always want to ask him what the sitch is like in Canada because I feel like it's ever changing, but it's always consistently available. I'm just so curious about the industry up there. What's it like?
Yeah. They've had their struggles, but things have got to be sorting out. A lot of people just
All things.
they don't have a lot of nice things to say about the flavor. When they come to California, it's all about the flavor.
Yeah, that's pretty consistent.
But I don't know. I kind of
I
find
smoked
that
whatever was legal. Actually, I don't even know if it was like I don't know if it was a trap, but whatever Canada considers cowboy.
oh yeah.
But whatever I got was, I don't even know, man. I was so fucking cold. I couldn't feel anything. I remember going out to the park to smoke, and I was like literally, like my lungs just froze. It was like negative whatever.
I feel like I've always had. Yeah, I feel like I've always had like decent flower in Vancouver.
I definitely, I was in Toronto. I definitely got really high because it was so fucking cold. I feel like when you're cold, your lungs are like clinging to anything you put in them.
It's like a
I was
whole other thing. In Montreal, everybody was smoking hash in Montreal.
Ooh. So they like the
mad hash.
I really have not been to a place in a long time that has had mad hash.
Yeah,
Where?
people just, I don't know. I think people still want it.
I do. Don't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I would love some like really oily, some old school hash.
Yeah, I don't want it in a pre-rolled joint. I thank you for doing hash holes, pre-rolled joint companies. I tip my hat to you. But I want my own, I want a separate hash that I have to smoke in a separate pipe that looks sketchy. That's what I want.
Like a long wizard glass pipe.
Yeah. What did I used to smoke my hash in? I probably just used one of my old, shallow, like flower
Under
pipes.
glass.
Yeah. Or like in a bong on top of weed.
A little topper, make a little snake in the grass.
That's the best way for me.
Make a little a green screen.
Yes. Iggy sold me my first green screens here in LA. I love a green screen. Shout out Iggy. I always think of him when I think of green screens because, like, when you come to LA and you smoke weed for the first time, trust me, you will remember your first fucking bud tender. You will remember your first weed that you smoked. And you know, I assume it's like that in every state's, like, for the younger generation. You know, like any access is good access. But you know, you can do a little compare and contrast. And yeah, Canada weed was for the one time that I smoked was good. So hopefully, and the edibles, I don't remember if I got any edibles, but you know, edibles are going through a moment. So we'll maybe have a conversation about that next week. I'm having trouble with edibles lately. I feel like they're either not good or something is like, I haven't felt like good edible high in a really long time. I either feel what I feel now, which is just like silly, which I guess is good. But I used to, like, when you would smoke like or take like the Smokies, or, you know, there was just a certain edible high where I wasn't like if I got the munchies, it would be like, not because my sugar would drop. I feel like the new edibles make my sugar drop for some reason, and they make me really tired, and I don't know why.
I mean, it's all oil now, and there's a lot of sugar, and it's all like they're all generally made with distillate.
Distillate, bro.
Distillate edibles. But you know, sometimes we get the live resin and even the rosins. I like those better, but we do eat. There's a lot of distillate edibles.
I gotta say, I'm not a fan of distillate. Well, hopefully those hopefully those hockey players and the Canadians are getting good edibles that are not distillate. Yay, NHL, keep smoking that, or keep taking your edibles. Don't stop. You gotta get it. We're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna come back, and we're gonna talk about something else good. A second good thing. We'll be right back.
The final Huff and Puff with TS and Sasha.
Yeah, we're back.
And we're back.
It's the Cool Nerd Weed Show. That's TS.
And that's Sasha.
We have some good news. Yeah, this is good news.
Yeah. There was a teacher.
Yes, there was a teacher
who visited the Soviet Union, Russia, brought some medical cannabis.
When was this? Last year, year before?
It was about 2 years.
2 years ago. Yeah, so he was in prison. This was like a big deal when it happened. They like touched base with him, I feel like last year or something. And he was just like, you know, chilling in prison, eating prison food and stuff. But this was like really scary when it all broke. It was medicinal, he said, but he was in like prison. This isn't the first time something like this has happened, and it's scary when it does. So recently, he was part of a prison swap. He was part of
he finally got out. I don't know why he wasn't released during the Biden administration when they did that other prisoner swap.
But everybody talked about that. Everybody was like, "Where is the teacher?" Yeah, he didn't get that deal for some reason.
Yeah, Mark Fogel was is his name, and he was in prison for, you know, I don't know. We've talked about this before.
Because Brittany Griner,
yeah,
she was part of the Biden. There was a prisoner swap that he did with her. I don't know. Maybe
he was serving a 14-year sentence, being convicted of drug smuggling over the possession of a half ounce of cannabis. After 3 years of prison, he wasn't actually convicted. At that point, he was considered unlawfully detained by the U.S. I mean, that was his classification. He was detained in Russia.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Let me clarify.
Right. So they were holding him for no reason at all.
14 years. He was facing a 14-year conviction.
Jesus.
But he was there for over 3 years.
Yeah. And it was, that's a long time for a half ounce of weed. Prison swap has happened and he is back now. That's great. I hope he's okay. Readjust, and I hope he enjoys his time with his loved ones. Never travels with weed ever again internationally. It's too bad.
I know.
But I don't like these rules, but I don't make them, and I do not recommend going to a Russian jail. I don't like to blame the victim because this is a victim of somebody like serving time wrong. Like that is a crime to be in jail for a crime for nothing, for nothing. Actually,
taking your life away for 14 years for a half ounce of cannabis is ridiculous. So yes, cannabis was legal when you left for medicinal purposes in Pennsylvania. However, when you got to Russia, you need to know what happens when you land, but also Russia could have just taken it from him, given him a fine, and sent him back to America.
Like banned him or something. Yeah. He didn't have to be. I mean, that's what like a rational country would do is, just be like, go home. Why'd you try to do that for?
Yeah. Deny your entry. But like imprisoning somebody, I mean,
that's crazy.
Serving almost 4 years for that is
Brittany Griner.
Yeah.
Like it's just
a single vape.
Yeah, like that's wild work, So it's, it's Russia. So I'm glad he's back. I wish it never happened. I wish you could take weed everywhere. I wish it was not like this in the first goddamn place. But I am grateful that we have him back and he can start to not be in jail for literally no reason. That's a win. That's a positive thing. That's a win. That's a win. That's a win. I'm going to see it as a win, and you're going to see it as a win, and it's a win. Boop, win. So thank you, Russia. Thank you, hockey, and yeah. Thank you, all those things, and
don't panic.
It's organic. Let's go before anything bad happens. Okay, bye.